For the month of June, Emily and I have decided to donate 100% of the profits that we make from our discount code CANDY at adamandeve.com to the Black Sex Worker Collective. If you guys want to donate directly to the Black Sex Worker Collective, we have links to their website in our bios on Twitter at CandyGirlPod and on Instagram at CandyGirlPodcast. So if you go over to adamandeve.com and you use discount code CANDY, CANDY, at checkout, you'll get 50% off an item, plus 10 free gifts, free shipping, and you'll be helping out Black sex workers. Again, that's discount code CANDY, CANDY. Thanks, guys. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Candy Girl. I'm your host, Shelby.
And I'm your co-host, Emily.
And today we are interviewing Amethyst. Amethyst is a gender fluid Black sex worker, and they have a lot to share with us today, and we're really excited about this episode. So Amethyst, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? I'm Amethyst. I use fae've for pronouns. I've been doing sex work officially for, I think, about 7 months now. It's been an interesting time. There's a lot to learn, especially as a Black sex worker, compared to, if I was a white one. But yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, so before we get into it, we have a whole list of questions written out, and I'm excited to get to that interview. But I want to know originally, why you decided to get into sex work.
Why did I do it? Really, it just kind of started as fun. I was taking pictures and I just enjoyed it, both the taking process and the editing. And then I just started posting them. And I originally started on Tumblr just for fun. And then my pictures started to gain traction. And then afterwards, I moved to Twitter, gained more following, and started to learn a bit more.
Wait. One thing that we haven't specified in the podcast. So what type of sex work do you do?
Mainly just content creation, videos, pictures. I've actually started creating Polaroids as a physical product too, so we'll see where that goes.
I've never heard of a sex worker doing that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun little way to change things up rather than just doing like a regular picture.
That's cool. Wait, did you think of that on your own, or did you get that idea from someone else?
No, I actually thought of it on my own. Well, partially. There's always a meme that I catch either on Facebook or Twitter, and what does it say? It always says something about a picture of Polaroids of my ass in your wallet, and I love it.
That's great. I do love that. Very cool.
Damn,
okay,
I kind of want one. That sounds sick as fuck. I want to frame it in one of those frames where the outside is very visible and then it's glass, but then the Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to sign the bottom though.
All right, I got you.
Emily will do it.
I will. Excited to get more details on how after this interview.
Oh yeah, they're coming.
All right, so should we get right into it?
Yeah, so this episode's going to be a little bit more serious. There's a lot going on right now, and I feel like just within the time that we contacted Amethyst last Monday, and I feel like so much has happened in that 1 week. So we're interviewing Amethyst on a Tuesday right now, and it's just been kind of crazy. So the first question I have is, as a Black gender fluid sex worker, how was your experience different from that of a cis white sex worker?
So there are so many ways that I could go with this question. But for now, I'm just going to break it into kind of two parts. So firstly, it's different because I'm Black. As a person of color, and especially as a Black person who is AMAB, which is really just assigned male at birth. But that very much has a very noticeable impact in my work and the traction that I get. I could easily say about a good, I'll lowball and say that 75% of my followers on Twitter are really just other sex workers. And then the others are either bots, weird, creepy dudes, or people who are actually customers who like actually enjoy my content. And what I've noticed is that most of those people are queer. There's maybe like two heterosexual people who are actually like true followers of my content. But secondly, it's different because I'm queer. I don't make just regular content. Most people who have a body like mine, you see them just 24/7. All you see is abs, tattoos, hips, penis, thighs. That's it. You never see anything else. And I mean, that's cool. That works for them. I'm glad they're, making money that way. But for me and the content that I'm realizing that I enjoy creating, that just doesn't work, which also has a profound effect again on, who I get as customers, the kind of traction that I get, and those types of things.
Interesting. We've had a couple guests on the show who have been non-binary, and we've talked to them about how their sex work has played a part. Granted, they were in-person sex workers, so it might be a little different, but how do you feel like your gender and sexuality have played a part in your sex work?
For me, I'd say the main thing is it really just allows me to be more free with the kind of content that I make. I'm not afraid to throw on a wig and a skirt if I'm feeling femme and make some femme content. And if I'm feeling masc, then I'll throw on a button up and some ripped jeans or something like that. I don't think I have any other way to describe it other than that it just allows me to be more free in both the way that I express myself, the art that I make, whether that's, photos, videos, Polaroids, whatever kind of art that I make, it just allows me a broader range of expression.
Very cool. Emily, do you have anything you want to ask? You're muted, Emily.
I mute myself because I have some crazy ass dogs. And every now and then, like mid-interview, they'll decide it's the perfect time to play with the toys they've literally never touched before. So, oh fuck. That was my alarm to wake up from my depression nap for this interview. What impeccable timing. So I wanted to ask, who do you look up to and who inspires you?
That's kind of difficult. I can't really say that I necessarily look up to anybody, mainly just because of my gender identity and sexuality. There's not, you don't see many gender fluid people in sex work, let alone Black gender fluid people, let alone AMAB Black gender fluid people. So it's kind of been more of finding the motivation for myself and really just coming up with the original ideas for content that I want to make. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, well, whatever.
Yeah, that is interesting. I feel like the representation of Black people and queer people in the media at all is so low, but especially in sex work, like I guess that's something that I never considered. Like, who really would you have to look to,
Mm-hmm. And granted, there are more people of color and more Black people getting into sex work, and that's great. But that doesn't really do anything when our counterparts can hop on and in a month make like 3 Gs, which is ridiculous, by the way, but
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes me and Shelby just have these interviews and we're like, I'm sorry, you make how much? What the fuck?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, some sex workers make more in a month than I make an entire year.
Yeah, and I'm just like, can you share it? Can I have some?
Redistribute the wealth. Okay. Are there any questions that you wish more people would ask you?
Let's see. I don't really get questions in general, but I do kind of wish more people would want to know how my gender identity kind of influences the things I do, and strictly in a sex worker term. Like everybody just assumes, and it's not like I have a problem with it, obviously, but everybody just assumes that I'm a cis female, and I'm just like, no. Did you look anywhere on my profile? Anywhere? Absolutely everywhere you can see that that's not the case, but whatever. But yeah, I just really wish that people would be kind of more open to learning about it, and it doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah, I feel like it could probably be intimidating maybe for some people, and that's why they don't ask so many questions.
Yeah, and I can get that, especially because a large part of, well, okay, I won't say a large part, rather the more represented sides of the trans community, they're always represented so badly when it comes to being misgendered. And that's really not the way most of us are. Granted, some people do have issues with it, because they have their own trauma, and that's perfectly fine. But not everybody is going to react in a volatile way, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get people to realize is that, like, no, I don't really care what you call me. Now, don't call me it. And if you do, then we're gonna have problems. But as long as you just refer to me as one of the pronouns I've given you, we're fine.
Totally fair. I guess something we kind of glossed over earlier that we should probably go back to is a lot of people might not know what being gender fluid means or even have heard of it before. Would you mind kind of clarifying that?
Yeah, so if you ask any gender fluid person, they'll give you two definitions. The first is the official one that you can find on Google. Basically, gender fluid is a gender identity where your gender is not fixed. It can flip flop anywhere between cisgender, which means that you align with the gender that you were assigned at birth, or it can go all the way to agender, meaning you don't feel association to any gender. But gender fluid in particular means that my gender just switches. And for me personally, that means that I can go anywhere from super femme to not necessarily super mask. I'd say I switch from femme to androgynous. Some days I am more mask, but for the most part, that's about where I stay.
So there could be like a wider spectrum of people who go from super femme to super mask.
Oh, definitely.
The more you know. Okay, so how can cis non-Black people create a more inclusive space for queer Black people, and then more specifically in the sex work community?
So let's work our way from the outside in. Just speaking in broad terms, first of all, not everything is about, and I hate to say it like this because not all non-Black people are like this, but a large majority have this tendency to, when subjects aren't focused on them, if they can get in even the tiniest amount, they will. And I get that you want your experiences to be heard, and that you want your voice to be heard, but at the same time you have to realize that other people's struggles are worse than yours. And when it's their time to be on stage, it's their time to be on stage. So I would really just say, you know for all the non-Black people who like want to really be an ally, just let us speak. Listen, we can tell you very easily what we need you to do. If we need you to go out and cause chaos, we are going to tell you. If we need you to just be a shoulder to listen to, or maybe even, assemble to help us distract ourselves from whatever is going on right now, we will tell you. So don't be, or even don't be afraid to ask. That's just really what I would say.
That's good. I think that's really helpful for people, especially those who might be intimidated to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, and sometimes these conversations can be uncomfortable. I mean, we definitely all, want to support. Me personally, and I've read White Fragility over and over again, but like, I guess just thank you for like letting us just ask you questions. I know that we all have our own inherent biases, and just trying to do our best to kind of combat that. So how can we check our implicit biases even when all the commotion is over? Because right now we see it all over social media, but unfortunately it's not always going to be on our timelines.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I fully expect that whenever this ends, it's gonna disappear within about 3 months, and that's just the way it's always been. But what I would say to kind of help anybody who wants to kind of just take over figuring out what they can do to help on their own, and not even just relate in relation to the protests, just in relation to helping POCs in general. Again, the biggest thing I can say is listen. Don't talk over. If you want to explain your experiences and, for the purpose of relating, that's fine. But, and I cannot stress this enough, stay away from making it all about you or wanting pity. Because that's where it typically ends up. And I can kind of get, how you get there. But at the same time, it kind of just circles back to that's not the issue right now. Like, that's an issue that, while, yes, it needs to be taken care of, at some point, it's not prevalent. You can live your day-to-day life perfectly fine with this problem. It does not affect you 24/7. So I would just say anytime you or anyone else is kind of in that zone of making it all about you, just kind of take a step back. As I heard from this ADHD podcast I listened to, take a step back and don't get hit by the train. And the train is this self-pity, and then it kind of airs out into the words that you say, and it ends up being you kind of sort of unconsciously asking for pity, and that's kind of when the conversation gets taken over.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're seeing that right now, even as this is, going on. But I feel like we see that all the time with people trying to make big issues about themselves. And it's like, not your place right now,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I had to explain to one of my friends from a very, very privileged background why we should not all be going to Walmart to buy guns right now. I was like, this is not what it's, what are you doing?
Because that's absolutely the greatest move right now. Yep, let's go out and just get a bunch of guns.
No, It's okay. Everyone's still learning as long as your friend was willing to listen, I guess.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, we're from Texas. My Facebook feed has been ridiculous, and I don't know whether to call out half my friends or block half my friends, and
yeah. I remember feeling like that in 2016. Yeah, that's about how I felt back then. And now my Facebook feed is clear, which is nice.
Oh, that must be such a breath of fresh air. I wish I had done this so long ago because I've been going through just deleting people like crazy.
Yeah. It feels so good to have a non-toxic, ridiculous Facebook feed. It really does.
Emily, there's a question in here that you clearly wrote, and I feel like you should be the one to ask it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so what's the most ridiculous thing that you've ever seen in sex work?
Oh, jeez. There are so many things I could bring up.
Honestly, bring them all up. That's what I'm
here. Whatever you can think of.
Okay, so the first thing is I saw, and I know this is not necessarily a hot topic, but it's a very opinionated topic. Somebody did an NSFW drawing commission for somebody of Stevani from Steven Universe. And which one is it?
I'm literally thinking, wow, I like that show. Please don't make it too sexual, please.
I'm really sorry to destroy your dreams. I really am. But it involved what? Stevani, and then for some reason a separate Steven and Connie. I really didn't understand that part, but I really wasn't going to question it. And White Diamond and Blue Diamond. It was the most just chaotically sexual thing that I've never needed to see in my life ever.
Wait, I have a vivid childhood memory of me accidentally stumbling. Like, I remember seeing that, fun rule where everything is porn. And I was like, I guess, yeah, bet. And then I looked up Phineas and Ferb porn and I fucking found it. And it seared into my mind. God. Like, for some reason, they deadass colored Ferb, the green haired motherfucker. Like, they colored his pubes green. And that's how weird it is.
Wow, they really committed.
I really have so many questions. I have so many questions
Oh,
that need
it's
to
not
be
about
answered.
me, it's about you. So any other fun stories? I'm really good at deflecting.
Oh, I did see one. What? There was a mashup of oh geez. So this is a lot of characters from a lot of cartoons. It was a mashup of Velma from Scooby Doo, Gwen from Ben 10. Jeez. There was a robot. Who's the robot?
Was it Jenny the
Uh
robot?
no, it's the robot from Overwatch, and I can't think of her name.
Oh, I don't remember her name either.
Yeah, she's the purple one. But anyway, it involved her too.
Purple bitch from Overwatch. Go on.
And then Raven. And Raven is what really fucked me up because why? Yeah, that ruined a lot of my childhood cartoons all at once. I think I got one more.
I see Raven get sexualized more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, but I mean that's also partially due to her outfit and the fact that whoever drew her gave her thighs. I don't know what to do about that.
Oh my god, I remember seeing a TikTok where it was like Pixar moms have no business being this thick. Like,
I've seen that one. I love it.
Do you have any other stories, Amethyst?
What? I think I have one more, and this one was on Twitter.
oh no, not Twitter.
Oh yeah. Geez, it's 2020 now, so I have to say this was back in 2018. Yeah. So I think that I was just scrolling through random hashtags for no reason at all, other than I didn't have a damn thing to do with my life, and I came across Race Play Cowboy. And I really just did not know what to do. I kind of stared at it for a few seconds before actually clicking on it. And so it was a picture of this white lady, typical blonde, blue eyes, whatever. And she was on the back of this super muscular black dude, and he had on a pig nose for some reason. And she had a saddle on his back, and I didn't know what to do about this picture, and I still don't.
I've never seen it, but like neither do I.
Like it was something you expect to see on Tumblr, and I don't know.
I am kind of curious because you said you started out on Tumblr. Did it affect you very much when Tumblr was like, we need to take down all porn?
So I wasn't really posting like too often back then, but I was kind of on Tumblr a lot just because it was a cool app. So I was pretty upset when they decided that, and I have not used it since.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were like pissed when that happened.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because it was a stupid decision, but it is what it is.
Yeah, now what do you even go on Tumblr for?
Oh, absolutely nothing. I don't even know. Maybe art.
Bro, that's how 14-year-old me discovered softcore porn. What a revelation.
That's how I found everything in BDSM.
How do you think I figured out my fetishes?
Tumblr was like the OG of figuring out everything about your confused sexuality.
Damn, rest in peace. Okay, back to the more serious questions. I'm glad we could have like a nice little break. Thanks for that question, Emily.
I remember one time during an interview, Shelby started asking it. I said, Shelby, that is the one thing. That's my one thing.
She loves that question.
I feel like when people hear about this podcast and they're like, ooh, podcast, they like, come on. And they're like, there's something I really just need everybody to know about.
I mean, it works.
All right. Next question. Let's go.
Okay, yeah. So given everything that's going on right now, particularly with law enforcement abusing their power and being violent toward Black lives, what are some things that non-Black people who are listening right now can do to help?
So the main thing I would say is go out and protest. Don't do no reckless stuff. Don't go out and cause no damage. Just follow our lead. We are Hmm?
Can you just no guns for Walmart? Is that a? Are you sure?
We are not
I
coming with guns from Walmart.
I know a lot of people from Texas. Okay, cool.
No, there will be no guns from Walmart. But yeah, just follow our lead. For the most part, we're really just marching peacefully until 12 decides that they want to act like a bunch of assholes. And at that point, we go out. And, don't still try not to cause any damage, but, if you want to throw a brick, I'm not going to tell you not to. He who cast the first stone and all that. um, but other than that, I would say if you can donate, there are a bunch of funds that are popping up. You can probably find them on any social media, Facebook, Twitter. I'm sure you can even find them on YouTube, GoFundMe, all of those. If you can donate, donate. If not, there's still other ways. Like me, I am learning a bunch of technological things to kind of help on the back end if at all possible with all the protests and things like that. And obviously, they don't have to, go out and learn Python to, hack into the government's websites or whatever. But, make sure our hashtags are still trending because Twitter has been deleting a fuck ton of them, which is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe they got away with that.
How the fuck is Twitter? Like, on one hand, it's this platform. We fact check Donald Trump, and then on the other hand, taking down stuff.
Well, I'm pretty sure that it was a 99% chance that the government forced them to. But yeah, don't let our hashtags die because those are the one thing that's keeping the world abreast of the entire situation. And if nobody can see what's going on, we don't have any ground to stand on anymore.
So, what are your favorite hashtags? Because you keep saying keep these hashtags alive, but which one should we be focused on?
Definitely. Well, okay, so they do switch. So right now, I would say stick with Black Lives Matter, BLM. If you want to be slightly chaotic like me, I would follow all the anonymous hashtag. And if you can follow, what is his name? You're a non-central. They have came out with a lot of things that make me smile and laugh and very happy because they mainly expose a bunch of, criminals, as they should. But give me a second because there are actually a few more.
I'm obsessed with Anonymous. I've been like, my background's in software engineering, and I've been like, damn, where's the leak code to become part of Anonymous? But I don't know how to code, so it's not like I can join. But I'm here for it.
I mean, they're not, a thing you can join, but if you know how to do enough technological things, they're not gonna argue with you when you pop up.
Something about Anonymous, it's like the one really cool part of 2020.
Yeah, they're the one good thing that's come out of 2020 so far. But I would also keep up the hashtag boycott America. That's with 3Ks. And probably any city that you want to just keep up with and add protests after it. But Chicago protests, LA protests, any of them, you'll find something, I'm sure.
That's honestly what I've been using to figure out what's going on in Austin for the most part is Googling Austin protest hashtags on Googling, looking them up on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been really informative, especially because, I don't know, I feel like I have not seen a lot of reporting on when the cops started, and they are doing that. So it's good to have Twitter as a resource to be like, no, I was there at the protest. I saw them, start it. The protest was peaceful. And yeah. And that happened every
day. Yeah, that's the one thing I do like about Twitter. Everybody's like, no, stop letting them delete these things. Keep them up. So you just find a bunch of different versions. And, some of them are misinformation. But those are not hard to weed out if you know what to look for.
Yeah, definitely.
So okay, if you know what to look for, what should you look for?
There are two kind of routes you can go with this. So you have the humans that spread information through their profiles, and then you have the bots. The bots are the easy ones to catch. The bots will have a bunch of random numbers in their username for no reason at all. They will have recently been created. They might have like one or two posts. they might have a profile picture, but they likely won't have a banner. So all those things say bots. If it's a bot, likely shouldn't believe it. As for people, it's a little bit more difficult. I would say kind of just room through the comments. A lot of the replies will really tell you, because if it's wrong, people will hop in there and be like, "Yep, nope, stop that." But other than that, you can kind of fact check through Google, just depending on what it is.
Yeah, fact checking is important. On the topic of social media, I kind of wanted to ask you, some of my friends and I were talking about this earlier today, but how do you feel about, I guess, virtual protests such as Blackout Tuesday or people reposting things on social media? Is that helpful?
So the Blackout Tuesday, let's start with that. I don't agree with Blackout Tuesday with the way they tried to go about it. Shutting, or rather having people stop tweeting and being on social media is what cuts us off from our news of what's happening. And if that happens, that means that the cops are free to do whatever they want because nobody's watching anymore. So don't do that. The one thing I will say is that people had started before Blackout Tuesday really started to become a trending thing through the hashtags on Twitter. It was originally supposed to be a blackout of most, and this is just, I'm just speaking about sex work for right now. A lot of the white content creators were going to stop posting, stop promoting their own content, and only promote and post for people of color in their page. So that's a good one. But as for just stopping all social media posting in general, no, that's the most idiotic thing that I have heard within the last few days.
Yeah, well, what if, a bunch of people posted black squares? How's that one? Sorry, I'm trying to be journalistic, not biased, but it's so hard.
I know. I also don't feel like posting a black square is very beneficial at all.
No, but what there is I've seen it a few times throughout Twitter. I probably have to dig a bit to find it. Quite a few people have created like specific profile pictures and banners for non-Black people who still want to support the Black Lives Matter movement and everything like that. So I mean, you could always find one of them. There's only so much you can do when it comes to social media. I would just say don't let it disappear. Don't let the hashtags disappear. Don't let the news disappear. Because if you let it disappear, nobody is watching anymore, and that's bad.
I also want to know, in your opinion, what can non-Black sex workers do to support Black sex workers, and then what can everyone else do?
So this kind of goes back to what I was saying just a moment ago. You don't necessarily have to not promote your own content and things. Like, I get that some people just need to make money. There are survival sex workers who aren't Black, and that's perfectly fine. Like, I don't want anybody's livelihood to stop to help somebody else's livelihood. You know what I mean? But I would definitely put a prioritization on reposting and making sure that you try to help Black sex workers content get out there, especially because it is so easy for non-Black sex workers to gain a platform. That's one of the easiest things you can do to help us build ours.
Yeah, definitely. We talked to somebody yesterday who was saying they posted on their platform and they were like, oh, I'm only going to be retweeting Black sex workers content. And they felt like they needed to take it down because people were commenting and they were saying this isn't helping anyone. So do you have a response for that?
Okay, first of all, I don't know who would say that. That's absolutely ridiculous. I would say if that's what you feel comfortable doing, by all means, go ahead and, mainly focus on helping us get our content out there. That's absolutely great. I'm not going to stop you. And if somebody does, I don't know. I would love to have a conversation with them on why they think that helping us spread our content is a bad thing. But irrelevant of that, if you feel like it might be a problem, I would just say ask first. If you really feel like you might get backlash for it, throw a post out on your timeline, see what you get. And as for everybody else, there's a lot of different things I could say. If you can tip and you like the content, tip. That's tips are what keep us going. If you can't, retweet, like, share it however you can. Bring us customers in any way you can think of, but don't go out of your way if you feel uncomfortable doing that.
Definitely. Do you have anything else, Emily?
So I guess, like, what have you seen personally while, going to these, or have you been going to protests?
As much as I would really love to, and I have a lot of energy to go to them and burn off, I promised my wife I wouldn't go because she's worried about me being hurt because of how violent the crazy cops are being.
That's extremely valid. Yeah. Another point that I wanted to make, I think this was my original one, was honestly, a week ago, I had completely different views and opinions on, the government, racial inequality. They weren't necessarily positive views, but they definitely weren't as like, wow, what the fuck is going on is now. I think it's okay to like learn information and have your views change. Do you think some people just try to like stick by, their morals too firmly? Or how can you encourage people to really open up their hearts and listen?
So, I guess first of all, I would say it's not a matter of them trying to stick to their morals. It's a matter of them sticking to their fear. They're afraid of change. They're afraid of the unknown. And I get that. The unknown can be terrifying, especially because, there are so many things the unknown can be. But what I would say is don't don't let your fear run you. And that's a lot easier said than done. I get that. Trust me, I do, especially with someone who has anxiety. It is a lot easier said than done. But what what makes it a bit easier is realizing that the unknown is exactly that, the unknown. It could be positive, it could be negative. You don't know. But if you run from it, then you're stuck in whatever situation you're in. And is that really worth the risk, or is that worth not taking the risk to possibly be in a better situation? Is it worth the risk of not learning information that could be beneficial? And those answers are different for everybody. But for the most part, I would like to think that people, you know, after doing some thinking, will agree with my thought process.
Yeah. I know we had a conversation on our last episode about when you're depressed, sometimes you just have to sit with the pain in order to get over the pain. And I've kind of found within this last week, the same is true for ignorance, in which you kind of have to sit with the ignorance and recognize that you're ignorant before you can move on. And I think it can be very scary to vocalize your ignorance and be active to learn because you don't want to be judged. But at the same time, you literally won't learn anything unless you are making yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Knowledge is knowledge is everything. And while I guess for some people too much knowledge can be a scary concept, I don't entirely understand that personally. But I get for some people it's a fear. I think once they come to understand the benefits that knowledge can bring, and this is just general knowledge, it doesn't have to be about anything specific. Knowledge in general is always helpful. Once they understand that not following something blindly, or what somebody tells you, or this opinion that you've had, that even though you have proof and that people have shown you proof that your opinion that you think is a fact is wrong, don't be afraid to let that knowledge in and kind of sit with it. Like you were saying, don't be afraid to sit with it. Think about how it affects you and how changing to understand this new piece of information that you have will affect your everyday life. Don't run from that. That's part of what being human is. That's what, for lack of a better statement, being an adult is, unfortunately.
Sorry, my Mexican mom is yelling at me again with the flip flop. She was like, dog. And then I like muted myself and called him over, and now he's chilling next to me. So I was like, what? No, just dealing with Lydia.
I thought you were going to say something. Oh, Lydia. Amethyst, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave with us?
I want to hear more about like the intersection. My boyfriend typed this word out for me, and I really wish I just had better pronunciation. Yes. What are some of the unique intersectionalities that you experience? Do you feel like there are some periods of time where, you kind of feel more strongly about certain aspects of your identity than others?
Oh, that's tough. I wouldn't say they're necessarily. Actually, you know what? Yeah, there are. And I can't really say they're in reference to anything specific. Just some days somebody can look at me the wrong way while I'm presenting film, and I will want to just cuss them out. Like, look, I'm human. Leave me alone. You can take a picture. It'll last longer. But a lot of that just comes from probably my very light irritation trigger. For the most part, I enjoy confusing people. I love seeing people confused about my gender when I go out. It's very fun.
I believe that.
So, okay, this is a fun would you rather, because obviously the world we live in is not perfect right now. Would you rather just have people kind of sit quietly? Mom. She looked at me like, all right. So just kind of a fun would you rather. We don't live in a perfect world. And I feel like that's why it's okay to ask this. Would you rather, while you're friend presenting or doing something that confuses other people, people just kind of sit quietly, pay no mind, pay attention, or people kind of come up and ask?
Oh, I would love for them to come up and ask. I love explaining it because it gives me something to ramble about. And it's new knowledge to a lot of people, especially being gender fluid. Like, people have, finally started to catch on to trans and non-binary, but gender fluid is like, wait, what? You switched? Hold on, that goes against the rules. So I love when people ask me about it. I love explaining it.
I feel like going into this, I was like, I literally just so you know how excited I was about this. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never talked to anybody who's Black and gender fluid. This is exciting. What questions do I ask? What is your preferred pronoun for the use of them? Would it be them or them?
So yes, this one always confuses people, and frankly, I switch a lot just because I can't make up my own mind at all. How do I pronounce it? Fae've. But I tell a lot of people just to call me fam. That works. Fam works. It's a lot easier.
Fam? I love that. Yeah, I feel like, especially right now in these times of social media, a lot of people, me included, even when I started, what do you think about people tiptoeing instead of outright asking, hey, I'm confused about this. How do I do it? Or like, how do I address this? Or how do I understand it?
So due to my childhood, I very deeply understand tiptoeing. I understand the fear of having somebody lash out at you just because you asked a question. But I would also say that a lot of people who don't use, the pronouns that they look like they would use, we really don't mind being asked. We would much prefer that you ask us first than assume, and then we have to correct you, because if you ask, that leads us to feel like you actually care. So I would always say, even if you're scared, just ask first. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a bad reaction.
Yeah, fae've, fam were not pronouns I'd ever heard before meeting you. So that's why I think I was also nervous to use them, because I was like, what if I mispronounce them? Will I sound really dumb?
Yeah, Fae and Fair have actually been around a long time in the GNC community, but I don't know why it's not as heard of. I guess people don't really use it as much. It's been around for a long time.
Man, that's my own ignorance. That's ignorance right there. Do you have anything else to add, Emily?
I don't really. I just like having this whole conversation.
Amethyst, we really appreciate you talking with us.
Oh wait. There was one other like kind of thing that you very briefly mentioned that I've just always thought it was interesting, no matter the sex worker. You briefly mentioned your wife. Is your wife what is your wife's pronouns?
She goes by she, her.
Okay. What are her like thoughts and how, what does she do to kind of like support you in sex work? I'm assuming she's supportive.
I mean, she doesn't really care, to be honest. She's just like, oh, okay. I mean, I've been doing I was doing photography before I really hopped into sex work, so it was more of just so instead of taking pictures of others, you're just going to be taking pictures of yourself. Okay, have fun, and she doesn't really have a problem with it, and it's my own little thing, it's my own little world.
Does she ever help you, make content or, maybe hold the camera real quick?
Nah, it's not really her vibe, and I don't really mind. To be honest, it's odd whenever I record and she's home anyway. I don't know why. It just is.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen a big range of people with partners and how their partners respond to their sex work. But typically, it's a positive one, They're either like, they range from like, I don't really care, like, here, let me hold the camera for you and let me help you find angles and stuff like that. So it's always interesting to see how people react to it.
Yeah. I think most of the sex workers that I know actually have partners, and they're always just like, yeah, I don't really care. So it's always funny seeing people on Twitter like try to ask them about it. Like, you let your partner do OnlyFans? What? And they're like, bro, I hold the camera. What are you talking about?
I know exactly what you mean. All right. Well, yeah, this episode's wrapping up anyways. We're getting to that point. So Amethyst, again, thank you so much for talking with us. It was really great to get to hear your perspective, and some of your stories were wack. So as everyone put it.
Yeah, it was definitely good talking to y'all.
Wow. Wow, how self-destructive would it be if I just, went up and looked up those exact drawings that Amethyst referred to earlier?
Don't do it to yourself. If they even still exist, you don't want the nightmares. Trust me.
You were warned. Anyone who's listening, you guys should go follow Amethyst on Twitter. Do you have an Instagram, Amethyst?
Yeah, my Instagram is amethyst.auburn. Jeez.
And is that the same for your Twitter?
No, my Twitter is Sunkisd Amethyst with no E and only one S.
Okay, so on Instagram at amethyst.auburn, and then I have your Twitter right here. It's at Sunkisd Amethyst. Kist is spelled Kisd.
Yep.
Got it. You guys can follow us on Instagram as well. We're at Candy Girl Podcast, or on Twitter at Candy Girl Pod. And if you have any questions for us, for Amethyst, or for anyone else who's been on the show, feel free to email us at candygirlpodcast@outlook.com. Don't forget, we're donating 100% of the proceeds we get from our discount code this month to the Black Sex Workers Collective. So if you guys want to buy anything from adamandeve.com, it's going to go to a better cause. And support Amethyst. Buy a Polaroid. That sounds dope.
I'll have updates on my Twitter on when they're coming out.
Yes, exciting. And we will hear from you guys next Friday.